What's good, everybody? Appreciate you checking in. All right, the next big date of the offseason is here. It's the June 1st cuts. And in this video, I want to kind of break down the positions that I'm going to be paying attention to as some of these teams start to get rid of some players off their roster, whether it be cuts due to salary cap casualties, or there are teams that players drop to them in the draft. And so now there are veterans or players that they can move off from and again save some salary cap. And so I'm going to touch on some of the position groups that I'm going to be focusing on, but we're also going to take a look at our salary cap as well as our depth chart and kind of go through it as I talk about some of these position groups. So, but before we get into it, I'm just under 20 subscribers away to my next milestone of 5,000 subscribers. And so if you can, one, hit that like button. And if you can, hit that subscribe button. I do giveaways for my subscribers. It's just my way of saying thank you and showing my appreciation. It'll be my 10th giveaway since starting this channel in the 2023 season. So it's again, just my way of saying, showing my appreciation and saying thank you to all my supporters and all that stuff. So I definitely appreciate it. And also hit that notification so you do know when that giveaway does drop. But I also go live on Sundays and on Tuesdays to chop it up with you on the chat. So definitely hit that notification. So let's kind of dive into it. We're going to look at the salary cap, but also we're going to take a look at the depth chart and kind of pinpoint some positions that I'm going to be looking at or paying attention to as teams kind of cut down and make some June 1st cuts. And so first, let's take a look at the salary cap. So I have it up on the screen as it stands right now. Over the cap has us at just over 36 million in salary cap space. Now, just keep this in mind, right? There's a couple things as we kind of move into the season. Is one, the Raiders do have to spend roughly around 89% of the current salary cap. So they do have some more that they have to spend. Now, you also want to hold on to a little bit. You can roll over about 10% of that salary cap to next season. So our roster still has some work to do, and we're not going to accomplish it all this season, right? We're going to definitely address some position groups. We're still a work in progress. It's still going to take us probably one, maybe even two more off seasons to fully bring this roster together. So you may want to roll over that 10% that you can next year, but at the same time, you want to hold on to some of that because injuries do happen throughout the season, and you may want to bring in some additional help. We did it last year because of all the injuries that we had. So you definitely want to hold on to a little bit of that salary cap just in case of injuries as the season goes on and the season progresses. So even though we have 36 million, don't expect us to spend it all. We may roll over some, but also hold on to a little bit just in case of injuries. So next, let's take a look at the depth chart, and we're going to kind of go through each position group. And again, I'm just going to kind of point out the position groups that I'm going to be paying attention to as players become available. And the first position group that I'm going to look at is the offensive line, right? And anytime that you can upgrade the offensive line, I'm all for it. I'm definitely a build in the trenches type of guy. And here's the thing. We did bring in a lot of help. We've brought in guys like Charles Grant, like Caleb Rogers. We've drafted those guys. Alex Cappa was a guy that we brought in from free agency. And you got a guy like Gerard Hufford that was an undrafted free agent that I do think that he is going to at least compete to potentially find himself a spot on this roster. But if you kind of take a look at some of the guys that were brought on or brought onto this roster prior to the existing regime, guys like Dylan Parham and Thayer Mumford. Those two guys, Dylan Parham is going into a contract year. And he did not have a very good year last year. And here's the thing is, you drafted guys and you brought in guys like Alex Cappa that were brought in after Chip Kelly was announced as the offensive coordinator. So these guys fit what Chip Kelly wants to do. That's the idea behind bringing those guys in. Dylan Parham, he's not part of this regime. And so does he fit the Chip Kelly system? That remains to be seen. And I do believe if we cut Dylan Parham after June 1, I believe we save roughly around $3 million in cap space, a little over $3 million. And so if an offensive lineman that becomes available that is a clear upgrade to Dylan Parham, and you can sign him for a 1 year, let's say it's around maybe $6-7 million just for this one season, and it is a clear upgrade from a player like Dylan Parham. And if you can save over $3 million, it turns out to a net contract of around $4, maybe $5 million. And we have the salary cap to take that on without question. I think you do entertain it. You definitely take a look at a potential upgrade in this offensive line room. And really at the same time, I'd probably be looking at the offensive tackle position as well, because I don't think Charles Grant is ready today to start, to get thrown into the mix, right? I do think he needs maybe one, possibly 2 seasons to really get himself going and get the full potential out of him. And Thayer Mumford has shown that he cannot be a reliable backup on this roster. And so if you do move on from him, if he does end up being cut at some point after June 1, I'd love to see us potentially look at an offensive tackle position to bring in as a rotational piece, someone that is a clear upgrade to Thayer Mumford. Because if someone does go down, I'd hate to see Charles Grant just get thrown in if he's not fully prepared. And at the same time, we did draft Ashton Jeanty at the #1 pick. And so we have to make sure that we do everything we can to get the best out of Ashton Jeanty. And the best thing that we could do for him is to give him a solid offensive line. And so if we do see an injury to our offensive tackle room, I would hate to see Thayer Mumford be the replacement, because up till now, he's proven that he's just not a reliable replacement if an injury were to happen. And then the next position group that I'm going to be looking at is running back. And here's the thing is, as much as we have Ashton Jeanty, and that's great, we have Raheem Mostert, you look at the other running backs in this running back room, whether it be Sincere McCormick, Zamir White, Dylan Labe, Chris Collier, we really don't have a running back that could be a true short yardage type of back, right? It's 3rd and 1 on the goal line. Is Ashton Jeanty that guy at 5'8"? I don't think he's that bruiser that's going to be able to put his head down and get those short yards, those 4th and 1s, those 3rd and 2s, those type of situations. And so, look, where I think Zamir White can finally potentially find a place on this roster is if he can, maybe gain a little more weight, come into this locker room at 220 pounds and be that short yardage guy, that bruiser that we can rely on, 3, maybe 4 times a game in short yardage situations. Again, that's where I think he can potentially find himself a role. I'm not saying he can do it, but if he can't, I don't see anywhere on this roster, in this running back room, that we have a reliable short yardage back. And so, again, as we kind of see players become available, teams kind of cut down after June 1, if there is a true short yardage running back that we could potentially take a stab at and bring in this locker room, again, just for those short yardage situations, without question, I'd be taking a look at it. So that kind of sums up the offensive side. Let me know if there's any other position group that you're going to be paying attention to as we hear these names get cut by teams after June 1. Let me know in the comment section down below. And now we're going to jump over to the defensive side. So now I got the defensive side up, and there's 3 position groups that I'm going to be paying attention to as June 1st cuts go down. And number 1 is the edge rushing position, and not necessarily for a starter, right? We got Max Crosby, we got Malcolm Kuntz, but as a rotational piece, I do think that the more edge rushers you can bring into this building to have competition and fight for that rotational piece, that backup, without question, I want to see it. And so I'm not saying that we need to bring somebody in, but I'm definitely going to be paying attention as players get cut and they become available. I'm definitely going to be looking at the edge rushing position, but we do have guys, don't get me wrong. We have guys like Charles Snowden. Obviously, Tyree Wilson is still going to be in that rotation. I don't have much hope for Tyree Wilson at this point. But again, I understand he's still there and he's going to remain on this roster moving forward. But then you got undrafted free agent Jah Joyner, which I do think that he is going to compete to find a spot on this roster. And I do think that he has a really good chance at making this team. I posted a video on the undrafted free agents, and he was top on my list to basically be able to make this team. And so, look, we do have some pieces, but at the end of the day, I think the more you can bring in competition and the more that you can build on the depth in this edge rushing position group, I don't think it hurts whatsoever. And so let me know in the comment section down below, who do you like as the rotational pieces in the edge rushing group? Let me know in the comment section down below. And then next up is the linebacker room. I do think that if we do hear some names being dropped, I think we have to take a look at almost every quality name that drops in the linebacking position, because we have a lot of question marks. Landon Roberts, I do think he's going to be that Mike linebacker, that green dot guy, without question. But Devin White, which Devin White are we going to get? Tommy Eichenberg remains to be seen kind of how much he's going to be able to contribute. Amari Gaynor, as much as I really liked him as an undrafted free agent last year, and he made this squad last year, which is great, still remains to be seen. What are we going to get out of him? And so definitely within the linebacker group, I'm going to be paying attention to the names that get cut June 1. But also I will say Cody Lindenberg, I am excited for him to just kind of see how much he can compete and potentially find himself on this field as on the defensive side. I do think he's going to contribute a lot in special teams. I really like him. I do think that he's a ball hawk. He's kind of a headhunter as it relates to the linebacker position. But Cody Lindenberg, I'm very excited for. But I'm definitely going to be paying attention to this linebacker room. And then let's jump into the defensive backs. And look, when it comes to the safety position, I do think that we can bring in some more help. So I'm definitely going to be looking at the safety position as the names drop June 1. But more importantly, unless Darnay Holmes is going to be that guy. I mean, he's young. He's got plenty of experience in Patrick Graham's system. Not only has he been with us for a couple years, but he's also been with Patrick Graham over with the Giants. So he understands Patrick Graham's system. But here's the thing. I don't know if they're going to be able to develop Darnay Holmes into that nickel cornerback position, or are they going to move some of our existing corners around? I've heard rumors that Jacorian Bennett might be a candidate to move to the slot corner position. Possibly. I don't know. Depends on how DCAM can work out, our fourth rounder from last year. And so obviously he did not show very well last year. But again, he was a rookie, so we'll kind of see how that pans out. But it still remains to be seen. Who is going to be that slot corner for us? And is it going to be Darnay Holmes? That's still a big question mark. So that's definitely a position group that I'm going to be paying attention to, is the slot corner position as the June cuts start to play out. So that kind of breaks it down, guys. Let me know, is there anybody else, any other position groups on the defensive side that you're going to be paying attention to as June 1st cuts go down? So let me kind of go back up to the big screen. And so look, at the end of the day, I do think the Raiders are going to continue to make some moves as it relates to bringing players onto this roster. Now, when it comes to trades and stuff, I just don't think any trades are going to happen. I could be wrong. I do think if we were planning on trading somebody, it probably would have happened prior to June 1. If teams really want a player, they probably wouldn't wait for a team to potentially cut them if they were on the trading block. So moving forward, I definitely think we might bring on some names. Two names to watch out for is I do think Jalen Ramsey has become available. Miami, there's already rumblings that Miami wants to move on from him. So Jalen Ramsey might be a very interesting name, especially if Patrick Graham and this defensive back coach wants to potentially move Jacorian Bennett to the slot position. And now you have basically a vacant corner position. Again, if DCAM doesn't work out, is Jalen Ramsey a guy that you could bring in to solidify that number one corner position? Again, just something to throw out there. I definitely think the numbers have to be right in order to bring on Jalen Ramsey. I would love to see Miami take on some of that salary cap hit. But again, we'll see how that plays out. But you also have some free agents out there. One guy that I'm going to keep on my radar is Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney, he's a guy that I think wherever he goes, he's going to want to start. And obviously, he won't start here with us having Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz. But if you can get a guy that comes in and is a good rotational piece, one thing you got to remember, Patrick Graham did play around with the 5-2 front last year where he did bring in 3 true pass rushers and came after the quarterback. And so could you find ourselves in a situation where 5, 6, maybe 7 times a game in third down situations where you have Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, and Jadeveon Clowney on the opposite side? Again, I'm just throwing scenarios out there, but I think Jadeveon Clowney is a guy that if Malcolm Kuntz does go down, you need to have a good rotational piece. Charles Snowden, he's an okay rotational piece. Tyree Wilson just ain't it. Josh Joyner, I do have a lot of hopes for him, but again, remains to be seen just kind of how he works out and if he's either going to make the squad as an undrafted free agent. But anytime you can build in places like the trenches, offensive line, and even the edge rushing position, I'm all for it. And so that's what I'm paying attention to. But guys, again, let me know in the comment section down below, what position groups are you paying attention to as June 1st cuts go down? Let me know. But if you can, hit that like button and subscribe. My next giveaway is at 5,000 subscribers. I'm less than 20 away from that. So if you like the content, hit that subscribe button. If you want to just help me out, I'd definitely appreciate it. Hit that sub button as well. But hit that notification so you do know when I do drop that next giveaway and when I go live on Sundays and Tuesdays with my guys in the Raider War Room. So I definitely appreciate it. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.